Hello everyone and welcome to our video on the new moon eclipse in Scorpio. I'm Emmeline Muldoon with Emmeline's Astrology, and I'm here today as always with Jim Delacolli to talk to you about the new moons and full moons each month. Now this is a big one because this new moon is an eclipse. It's actually a partial eclipse, but it's still an eclipse, and it's right there with this new moon. So all the usual rules apply with the new moon. Look at where 2 degrees of Scorpio is in your chart, because that's the place for the new growth. And if you wanted to use this time to do the ritual or manifest, look at where 2 degrees of Scorpio is in your chart, because that's going to be the area to home in on to look at what you want to build or where the changes are coming. But like we always say, Jim, whether you want to manifest them or change them, it seems like with the new moon energy, you're already feeling that change coming about anyway.
Yep.
And so this is a new moon with an eclipse attached, which means the nodes are hanging out there with the sun and the moon. So this eclipses are game changers. They're course correctors, course shifters, path changers, beginnings, endings. They can throw about chaos into your life if they're hitting a particular planet or a point of your chart that's sensitive. Then you'll feel it more than an eclipse that's just, transiting through an empty house. But they can really take you and move you to a different place. So look around you. You're going to be feeling this, but also everyone else is going through eclipse season as well. So there's changes coming for the collective, for people around you, for you, beginnings and endings. So we're going to pull up the chart and talk to you about what this chart has, what aspects it has, and explain a bit more in detail about how the eclipse is activated by these aspects.
I'm gonna throw in there while you're pulling that up that the 2 signs that the eclipses fall in now, because they always they go in pairs opposition, are the sign of Scorpio, which is probably the most chaotic sign. It's extremes, death and birth, light and dark, good and bad, however you want to define it. But the opposite of that's Taurus, of where we want to be most stable. So that's why we're dealing with what we're dealing with in these eclipses. The eclipses, as Emmeline said, are really the universe going, guess what? You're ready whether you think you are or not. And it's up to the universe to kind of remind you or get you kick-started. So that's what we're dealing with. And the stable side of the world's being churned up, so to speak. And so is the unstable. So that's why we're dealing with what we're dealing with. And the extremes are probably as great as they've ever been.
Yeah, that's a good point to talk about. Just simply just bringing it back to the signs, because these nodes is where we get the eclipses, where the nodes are traveling through. They've been going through Taurus and Scorpio now for a year. We've got the last 6 months of that energy. So this is the second. So we had eclipses last November, May and April. And then this is like the third pairing of eclipses in these 2 signs. So this next 6 months is the last part of the intensity and change within the Taurus and Scorpio parts of your chart. So if you're looking at your chart and you're seeing that's the part that's being activated by these eclipse series, because eclipses come in 18 months segments within signs, every 6 months apart. So we get like 3 hits. So think back to last November of what was being activated, and then April and May, I suppose, to look at the second part of the story. And then these eclipses are sort of the final pair. We do have a Scorpio eclipse next year in May, but this is the final pair of both of them being in Taurus and Scorpio on that axis. So look at where they are in your chart to see where is 2 degrees of Scorpio, because that's going to be activated by this one, and then 16 degrees of Taurus by the 8th of November, which we'll talk about in the the next video. So that's really important to bear in mind. And Scorpio, if we're looking at a Scorpio new moon or a Scorpio eclipse, we're thinking about intensity, passion, very passionate, very fiery. Also toxic energy. You know, there's a lot of release from things that are toxic, I think, with the South Node and Scorpio going together there. Those words came to my mind, Jim, about Scorpio.
Yes, yes. And I'm
Secret. Sorry.
What's that?
I was just thinking, oh, secrets, but yeah, sorry, carry on.
And I'm going to throw this out there. I warned you, Emmeline, so I'm just going to throw it out there. But we are in the end times because of what we've just been talking about.
Yeah.
The key here is it's not the end times for the human race, but it's the end times of what's going on as far as where Pluto is and where these eclipses are. Pluto's late in Capricorn, which is the last of the earth signs. And so it's transforming to gear us up for the next 248 years. I'm going to throw a little plug out for a guy called Jason Bershears. He's archaics.com. He's on YouTube. He talks about a 138-year cycle. And he talks about May, I think more May than November, but May, November, and the huge changes that happen during the times of those years. Look that up because the next time we go through, and the next cycle will be years 2040, 2041, 2042. That's when the huge changes are coming. I'm not an end of the world guy ever, but look at that and enjoy. I'm trying to get as much information. Emmeline and I are trying to get as much information out as we can. So check that out. The next time we see these eclipses, major things are coming. I think we're in major events where we have a say so. If we don't change it, we have 19 years to get ourselves in order. So it's time to go.
Yeah. There's a lot in this chart that sort of points to that as well.
Yep.
So, you know, we have Pluto hanging out at the last degrees of Capricorn. So he's really been telling us all we need to break down what needs to go with big structures. Capricorn is like institutions, the people that sort of rule from the top down. That's crumbling away in a lot of respects with Pluto hanging out that last degrees. He's been there since 2008, saying the changes to the Capricorn stuff is coming because Pluto breaks it down and then rebirths it. Yep. And now he's at the end of it saying this, what has to go. And we've all got Pluto 26 degrees of Capricorn somewhere in our charts as well. So we're all seeing stuff breaking down as well, from maybe linking back to 2008 or just looking at your chart and seeing, okay, where is that degree? Where's my Capricorn house? What have I been working on?
And I'll throw in there, since we're on the topic of Pluto, that it is squaring. This is why Emmeline and I are really trying to get you to wake up. Pluto during this new moon is going to square the Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus. Those are all personal planets. So this is you changing. Okay. And we got plenty more to talk to you today about you. And, you know, this is time for you to step up. But Pluto squaring these planets, these are powerful planets that are going to help you change. You need to change. It's time for you to change. And with this square going on, it's going to agitate you to a degree, but that is what you need. You may agitate others. That is what they need. Just prepare yourself, because this is where, from the inside out, we need to really get after it. And this is a tremendous opportunity.
Yep, it is. Yeah, you're right. It's basically squaring all of those personal planets apart from Mars, isn't it? So we're going to be really feeling this change. And, you know, a square is friction. A square is something we have to work towards. It can feel uncomfortable. So having the Pluto, which is asking us to transform into these areas that are very very personal, very intense, we feel very passionate about it. You know, that's kind of what's being triggered with that Pluto square, those planets. But also thinking about Venus being there. Venus is right next to the sun, and exactly next to the sun and the moon during this eclipse. So that is linking us to money as well.
Yes.
Venus is, currencies, money, the banking systems, all those sort of things are being highlighted with this eclipse. So I mean, we've already seen the pound sort of drop dramatically against the dollar. And we are within sort of eclipse season a month before the eclipse happens, and then also 6 months after, don't forget. So, we've already seen some currency changes, but with it being the new moon there, we're seeing what's going away, but also we're seeing what's bringing in, what new stuff is coming, the new ways of working with money. So there's old breaking away, but we're also seeing growth for new systems as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Uranus also brings us to that as well. Points us to that.
And we have some, the thing I wrote when I looked at this right away was the truth, right? But I'm going to add the opposite of that, because that's what astrology is. Stop lying to yourself and others, right? I mean, this is a great time to truly awaken. Jordan Peterson, if you don't follow him, that's good. If you don't, I don't care. But he made a great comment about to live your best and most simple and easiest life that can be at its most prosperous, because you're running on all cylinders. Stop lying to yourself, right? And I think that's what we're looking at here. Cut the lies out. Quit trying to be what something or some energy told you to be. Just be yourself. It's going to be good enough, and awaken here, and you're going to really open to what's coming.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, because obviously the Scorpio, we have this theme of secrets,
Yes.
there's the privacy, but there's also secrets. So it's like stuff that we find out, I suppose, during this time. And then we have the Uranus up there with the North Node in Taurus, North Node Taurus, putting us towards our collective, putting us towards where we're all meant to be going, our path, our future. And Uranus makes things, shakes them up, makes it exciting, makes it different, makes things unforeseen, but it wants us to get better. So there's changes that are coming, but they're pushing us towards where we're meant to go. And another thing about the Scorpio that I wanted to just mention, because we were just playing around with this chart before we started, and we looked at the Sabian symbol for 2 degrees of Scorpio, because we thought that might be interesting with this one. And it was breaking the bottle, a broken bottle with spilled perfume. And I thought that was really funny, because it's basically symbolizing how we were describing this eclipse before we started. It's what needs to break down is breaking down. And it might seem sad that your perfume has been spilled, but actually we're going to see that we're going to move on after what's broken needs to go, and then we can move on after that. So think about what we're learning instead of thinking about the what's breaking away.
Yes.
Think about what's coming, I suppose, instead of thinking about what we're seeing break down.
Yeah, and because it's so chaotic, I'm just going to throw this little tidbit out there. What if everything is in the order that it's to be in? You've done what you were supposed to up to this point, or maybe haven't done what you were supposed to, but it's left you where you need to be, and now you need to move. What if all that is in place? Did you ever stop and consider that? I think this time is a great time to do that.
And the other part of this chart that leads us to new beginnings is for Jupiter, isn't it?
Yes.
Really, really strong. Well, firstly, it's making a quincunx to the new moon in this chart. So it's making an aspect. So what does Jupiter do? It makes it bigger.
Yep.
So it's making this eclipse bigger. And you can see there's a quincunx there. It's at 2, Jupiter's at 0. So Jupiter is in this chart right at the beginning of the zodiac. It's at 0 of Aries. That's the beginning of the signs. It's beginning of the sign. So it's like the first day of spring.
Yep.
That new energy is growth, it's opportunity. It's like, what are we working towards building? So that's why I thought that was nice, because Jupiter wants us to do things that's beneficial and good. So I really feel like this is an opportunity for us to start good, new things that's going to help us.
Yeah.
Because Jupiter is in Aries, so it's us being the leaders, us thinking about what we want to push ourselves forward towards.
Yeah. And Jupiter rules the final sign of Sagittarius, and all fire signs do is they want to, as Emmeline said, improve, bring heat to whatever the event or the energies are and raise them up, right? Take them to another level. This is the opportunity because at 0 degrees Aries, you don't have to be perfect here. You're going to have plenty of time to correct or adjust.
Mm-hmm.
It's about getting going and finding your passion, your individual place and your passion, and then show us who you are, who you really are, not who you thought we wanted you to be.
Oh yeah, plenty of time for readjustments.
Yes.
Someone actually asked me the other day. So I know all about Mercury retrograde. I think I've got that. I think I've got that sort of learned now. Can you tell me there's a Mars retrograde? What does that mean? I said, well, for one, it's going to last a lot longer. So it's going to start on the 30th of October. So just 5 days after this eclipse. And it's going to go through to January. So exactly your point is right, is 100% correct there. What we're certainly going to be revisiting and revising because we're being driven towards acting and using our minds. Mars is in Gemini here in this chart, but he's going to be being held back initially during that time. So even though it might feel frustrating, what's really good is what we're finding out is just going to help us improve. So don't be afraid to start, or don't feel frustrated if when you're starting you feel like you're being held back by this Mars, because we're just going to learn from those. Sometimes it could be errors or revising or just having to do it again to really move forward properly and clearly when it moves direct again in January.
Yes. And as I talk with the Aries and Mars energies it stirs our passion, but it also stirs our ability to get pissed off. So either one of those come to surface, that's going to be good because you are then working and moving in a direction of new, and that's what we need you to do. Just don't get to the extremes here. So of those energies.
Yeah, extremes of Mars in Gemini could be anger around your words, getting into fights with people, verbal fights with people, arguments over your ideas, your beliefs, I suppose. So that would be the lower form of the Mars. Now, I think the higher form, people using this Mars energy to use, be directed to use their minds to learn, to write, to read, to explore, debate, do the nice things of talking with others about your ideas.
Yes. Yep. Good.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big period, that Mars retrograde, because people can get frustrated during that time. So it's adding in the intensity of the eclipses, eclipse season, if it wasn't intense enough already.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. And it is also making a trine to Mercury in this chart, that Mars. So there is, what we're talking, what we're hearing. We might be doing things twice. We might have to hear it twice, learn it twice, think it twice. But, we can work with others to get our ideas going, but maybe also fact check, I think, with Gemini. Sometimes there can be exaggeration with Gemini. So always maybe just check information that you're receiving before you act upon it.
Please do that. And don't be what I call a homer, where you just side with people that side with your thoughts or your beliefs. Don't be afraid to listen to somebody else's and truly listen to somebody else, even if they have a varying opinion. this will be a great time for you if you do that. You don't have to end up siding with them, but just hear it. So it will help you with your, as Emily said, your fact checking. So
yeah, it's always good to fact check. But Mars in Gemini is a great skill with words as well. If you're trying to write in this period, it's going to be really good for your mind, I think.
yes.
Lawyers are great with Mars in Gemini. Your words are your tools, So I've said that a few times in reference to Mars in Gemini, but it is good for that. It's a gift for that.
Yes, definitely.
Right. We have a Neptune aspect as well. Now we don't always, Jim and I don't always talk about quincunxes as much. We focus on the major, the traditional major sort of aspects, but there is a quincunx in this chart with Neptune and Mercury. Neptune's hanging out there at 23 degrees of Pisces, and Mercury's 22 degrees of Libra. So they're forming a quincunx. Now, this is what we have to put work in, what we have to put an effort in to change things. And sometimes with Neptune, there can be this cloud and confusion. It can see that we're not seeing things very clearly. So we might have to put some work in to see the bigger picture. But what I would say with Neptune, pull into the heart, what you feel is right, your intuition, what you instinctively think this is the right thing. Don't necessarily listen to the head, because that's the bit that can be clouded. If you pull into the heart and think what's actually right, what am I feeling that's right, what's intuitively feeling right, then that's the best way to use it. These aspects are really good for if you're doing like yoga or spiritual work. It really connects you in with that Neptune to doing that those practices. So it might be a good time for doing meditation or stuff like that. But it can be difficult sometimes to hard to see clearly what's going on if you're just in your head. It's also great for manifesting. I think this is a good new moon eclipse for manifesting with that Mercury quincunx in Neptune. And then the 2 degrees of Scorpio new moon. I think if you put it into what you instinctively feel like you want to do, you're going to flow towards it.
And I'll just add, that's awesome analogy of that. I'll add that there's just a new moon perspective here. This is the uncovering of the hidden, the uncovering of you, and really beginning a journey of so-called truth. So as it is, not as you want it to be or I want it to be, but as it is. So give yourself a little room here for growth and for adjustments.
Yeah, it's also a very creative time. I think that Neptune, Mercury,
yep.
Artistic. Neptune's very artistic. So are you being driven to be creative at all with this new moon eclipse?
Yep.
Could bring out some of that energy as well. Right. Shall we haven't done the Saturn Uranus yet. Is there anything else we wanted to do, or
I'll just throw the Saturn trying the Mercury and
oh yeah. Okay.
Because I think that'll Saturn is in the sign. Saturn usually brings a restriction, delay, and hard work, right? It's in the sign of Aquarius, which is I'm just trying to find the truth. So if you're working hard, that's why we're all centering around you awakening, you figuring it out, you becoming the more individualistic person that we need to see. So it being there, and then trying Mercury late in Libra, that's the sign of others, right? Libra is, but this is about you communicating what your message is, trying to find the truth and listen to others to help you get there even sooner or quicker, as we all will get there faster if we can help and support and surround ourselves with others that truly are caring about going in a direction that's going to be for true natural growth. So huge opportunity here. Both planets want to work together big time. And just finding the truth. They're in air signs, which are communication. So allow this, do the work. I don't care what you're guided to here or how things change. If something awakens you, get after it. This is a wonderful aspect to do that.
Yeah, it's true. It is. It's definitely putting us to do some work. Sometimes Saturn can feel difficult because it is asking you to work. But if you do the work, you get the rewards with Saturn. So, it's always good to remember that. And Saturn is having its last square with Uranus. So I think this month is just so intense. We have Saturn Uranus square, the Mars eclipse coming, the Mars retrograde coming up, the eclipse. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, and this Uranus Saturn square, as we've said last time, it's really this is the last pass of this square. All through 2021 it was breaking down stuff and asking us to bring in the new, and this is the last square of it. So now we're really putting into action what we need to break down and what new is coming in. Something has broken away and then there's new beginnings there. And that energy is in this eclipse. So, it's going to really take us to the new. And sometimes we don't want it to break down and we can hold back a bit from it. But, Uranus is trying to give us what's best for us, what's better for us. So just look at what new stuff is coming into you, and even if you don't necessarily think it's the right thing, just experiment or give it a go, or just be curious, because it's the changes is definitely coming. There's a breakdown in your chart and a breakthrough in your chart with this square.
And I'll remind you that Uranus, I think some of its finest points are it brings the old that withstands nature maybe back to light, so you can reapply something that has worked in the past, but it also brings the new, right? So you work from either ends of those spectrums to find the truth and develop and become more stable on this physical plane. That's a huge opportunity presenting itself here.
Yeah. And also, I think it would maybe connect back to when the beginning of August, when we had Uranus meeting up with the North Node, right at the first day of August, second day of August there. So maybe think about what was going on for you around that time, and then connect it back to this eclipse as well. Or connect it forward to this eclipse.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we did we get all the aspects?
I think so. I'll throw a summary out there, and unless you want to throw yours first,
I'll add to
please. Okay. The eclipses are the Great Awakening, the sign of uncovering the hidden is Scorpio. Venus is there with the sun and moon, early degrees, and of course Mercury's there. I can't think of a better time for you to do all of the above here in these arenas. The universe are going to show you what you're ready for. You may not feel you're ready, but I'm going to tell you are. And so the truth is everywhere. Stop lying and let's get to it. Let's put the manifestation out in this moon. Let this eclipse take us to a place that we deserve to be. You might catapult yourself 5 giant steps forward here and not even realize it. So I'm going to do it. I know Emmeline's doing it because we gave each other about 20 things to go look at before we turned the video on. Now we got 2 weeks worth of homework here, but we are intense with this. And the best thing is we're just trying to do it in a manner we're trying to find the truth, whether it's incongruent with what we've been doing, whether it's not, we're just looking for it. And we're looking for the truth as it is, in line with nature. Let's go. There's a way new, better, more efficient way that's going to be better for all of us as we move forward. And we're just trying to get there. So we're trying to help you. We'd love to help back. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's always so much to learn. And we were talking about this at the beginning of the video as well. With astrology, there's always you'll never stop learning. It's a lifelong study. So there's always points to explore. We were just like today in this video, we pulled up a Sabian symbol. I don't usually refer to them, but for some reason I was curious, what does that mean for this eclipse? You know, there's always stuff to look at. So what are you being drawn to look at? What are you being drawn to start? This is, you know, eclipses are great times for beginning. And like I said, if your chart is being activated by this eclipse in a big way, like if it's on your ascendant, if it's on your midheaven, if it's hitting a planet, then you're going to, you know, maybe feel this one more intense than if it was just hitting a house. So, you know, look at your chart, get to know your chart and see how it's affecting it. People feel this energy anyway. I think, like, when I'm getting people that come for readings, or I was doing this month an eclipse special where I'd send out a video for someone who wanted to see how these eclipses are affecting their chart. All the people that asked for this eclipse special had a planet and an angle being hit by these eclipses, so they're feeling this change, they're feeling the energy, they're feeling the shift. So we're in tune with this energy, even if we don't know it, even if we don't talk to you about it, we're feeling it. So
yes,
it's always good to know, because then you can work with it how you choose to.
exactly. Well put.
Yeah, I always think that's the one of the tools of astrology, is that if we can see how the energy is working or where it's working, then we can see how to use the best form of it.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you again for joining us. It's always great to do these videos with you, Jim. And we're in for another eclipse in 2 weeks' time. That will be a full moon eclipse in Taurus. So we will be doing another video on that eclipse shortly.
Yep, I always enjoy it. It's a fun time for me every other week. So
Yeah.
hey, we wish you the best. Remember, uncovering the truth and stop lying. I mean, pretty simple here. Pretty simple. We're going to continue to give you these, and thank you for the support. So we appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you. And if you have any comments at all or questions, feel free to drop them below we'll put this on both of our YouTube channels. So happy to answer any questions.
Yep, absolutely.
As always. Well, thanks everyone, and we'll see you on the next video.
Yes, take care.
Good
luck.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.